Good afternoon all. Today we are going to study software design part in electronic product design elective second subject code 404185. We are now in software debugging. You should know first what is debugging. Debugging we look start of this section is or chapter is with debugging definition. What I said, so debugging includes a set of guidelines to focus on searching for the solution. If there is an error, we have to solve this, right? Its process is called debugging. We in previous lecture we learned the techniques of debugging in electronic circuits. Okay, now we are going to study the software debugging. Clear? Which is the program is there, what are the different error is there, we have to find it and resolve the problem in software debugging. I will start with the introduction. It is inevitable that when you are writing code you will end up with blocks. If properly managed, the time you spend debugging your code could be greater than the time spent actually writing it. There are various things you can do to help minimize their however. Various development environment contains tools to help identify bugs. I will not discuss those here but instead look at general techniques which may be applied no matter the language you are developing your software in. The code example on this page are in a functional language called RAN script. I have done this deliberately as there are many programming language out there, each different in their syntax. You know, everyone know, if we call program there is a syntax is there, instructions are there, logic is there. Clear? The concept discussed on this page are generic and apply no matter which language you are developing your software in. Means it is does not matter in which language you create your program. It's Java, it's Python, or it's simple C language is there. All for all languages in software debugging there is the same process. Okay, three types of error we got in software problems. There are three types of error you will encounter. First is syntax error, second is logic error, and third is runtime error. In syntax error are when you have written part of your code with a mistake. If you add small dot also in your program in extra, then and then also you got syntax error. Or if you give extra space in while writing program, or used the spelling mistake is there, that there also syntax error. It could be a spelling mistake or a missing character. For instance, a very common syntax error is to forget the semicolon at the end of the statement. Many times semicolon is missing in syntax error. While troubleshooting we have to observe all the proper syntax. Another common mistake is to misspell a variable name. Spelling mistake is there. That time also syntax error is generated. These errors are often quite easy to fix as the compiler or interpreter will help with a message telling you which line the syntax error occurred on and what it was expecting. Okay, clear? Next is logic errors. Logic error involve your code being syntactically correct. It is does not behave how you would expect it to. Maybe a certain action is to occur when a variable gets above a certain value. However, when you run the program, that action does not occur unless the variable is exactly that time that value there. These errors can be difficult. Identifying the section of code responsible can be tricky and you would not get an error message. It may also be the case that your software functions properly much of the time and only work incorrectly under certain circumstances. Routine time error, runtime, sorry. Third error is runtime. First one is syntax error, second one is logic error, and third one is runtime error. Run Runtime error occurred when a situation occurs during the running of your code, which results in the software not being able to continue execution. Error time error is got when your program is running, okay, and because of that error you can't execute your whole program. Example of situation which may cause these are divide by zero or the software trying to open a file which does not exist. These errors are sometimes easy to identify and sometimes difficult. It is an error regarding a missing or incorrectly named file, for instance, identifying the cause of the problem and the fix should be easy. If it is sometime like a divide by zero, then working out why it occurred may be easy, but working out how to prevent it happening may be trickier. These error can often be caused by logic error and similarly often occur only sometimes and certain under certain circumstances. Okay, prevention is better than the cure. Clear prevention is very important. We will look at various techniques to identify and squash back bugs below. Before we do so, let's look at something we can do to minimize the number of bugs we produce in the first place. Taking time to design your software in a neat and logic structure before you even begin coding will lead to your code being cleaner and less prone to errors. Prevention is always better, right? You have to take care while designing your software. It should be neat logic structure. Okay, logic structure before you even being coding will lead to your code being cleaner and less prone to errors. Once you start coding, if you follow good programming practice, you will also write code which is less prone to errors and easier to debug when those errors do occur. Okay, utilizing libraries and built-in functions wherever possible can also help as you will be making use of code which is already tested and solid. Although generally a good idea to make use of industries where possible, there is a line of thinking that is certain circumstances where performance is important. Writing your own code can be leaner and more efficient. This is particularly the case when writing client side web based application. Okay, the first next start is testing. There are two general categories of testing: black box testing and black white box testing. There are two types of software testing. First one is black box testing and first one is black box testing. In black box testing involves testing the code or part of the code, example a function, without actually looking at the code itself. We run the product giving a variety of different inputs and ensure that it gives the required output and behave the way it should. If something goes wrong, we generally don't make any assumptions but about why, we just note that it did. Because of the nature of black box testing, it can be easily be done by an end user. This can be effective as they are more likely to use it in ways that the developer never thought of. Black box testing gets its name as the internal or the actual processing is dark to the person doing the testing. They can't see it. Okay, we can't see it. White box testing involve testing of the code while being able to see the processing and interact with it to better understand what is going on. This is usually done by a developer and often after black box testing was revealed bug which need to be investigated. The developers has a variety of tools at their disposal to help them including CASE tool and the debugging techniques discussed below. Okay, means what? In black box debugging there is a black screen, we can't see any programming. Okay, note, testing can show you that there are bugs, it cannot prove there are no bugs. Good testing will increase confidence in the quality of your code but never assume there are no bugs except for small trivial program. Error message. Okay, error message also there in software debugging. There is an acronym in IT which is RTFM. Read the mutual. I will let you figure out what the missing word. Okay, R means read, T is missing, R, R stands for read, T stands for the, F is missing, and M is mutual. We have to find which is the middle one. I don't expect to hear you say this word easier. I would like to propose a similar acronymous RTFEM. The last two words are error missing message. Okay, I don't mean just skim the error. I mean really read and consider what is saying. This might seem obvious, but I get an usually large number of requests from students to help with their code, and when I ask them if they have read the error message, they say no. Okay. Debugging techniques. Debugging output statement. One of the easiest and most effective way to start debugging your code is to start printing things out. Printing a message without branches of an if statement will help you determine which branch is actually being executed. Let's say we have a simple program which asks you for a score. Add 10 to it, and if the score is above 20, save to the database. Okay. Now following is program is for uh, we have to ask for the score. After asking, we have to add 10 in it. If the score is above 20, save to the database. Okay, in C second year, data structure, we have seen the C programming language, right? We study all in what is integer, what is character, what is float numbers, one or and in C we also study how to write proper syntax. Clear? Where is the comma? Where is the where is the space? Right? These things should be take care while development of program. Okay, wrong branch RS. One number line, my score. We have to ask na. Then my score is equals to input. Please enter your score. Input. My score क्या आएगा फिर? My score plus 10. If my score is greater than 20, राइट। देन नेक्स्ट इज क्या आएगा, सेव टू हाई स्कोर, play again, input, play again. Okay, if your score plus addition of 10, uh, if answer is greater than 20, then and then only it will get all operation executed. When you run this program, however, no matter what the score enter in it, save to the database. You should decide that the program must be with a database and go looking for a bug within the function save to high score. It would be smarter to test that the function is actually being called first through. Let's put a debugging output statement in the make sure it word. Okay. Now we run the program again and notice that if statement never seems to be entered. This tells us that the problem might not be within the function but it happening somewhere within the current code. Now we might decide to try another strategy, which is to print out variables to track how they are changing throughout execution of the code. Clear? If we miss the if statement here, look at this. Here is if my score, here is missing the if. We run this and notice that the value of my score is 10 no matter what we enter. This is perplexing when this happens. A good strategy is to progressively move the print statement up through the code or it and multiple print statements so you can see a history of how the variable value changes, right? If you put 1 as your input my score, then in second step you add with 10, its answer is 11. 10 plus 1 11, then 11 is less than 20, right? Then we don't got our final answer, then play again. Next you put 5 is there, again 5 plus 10 15, 15 is less than 20, again put 10 is there, 10 plus 10 20, 20 is not greater, then again put 12, 12 plus 10 22, then 22 is greater than 20, that means we got our final, we got our concept. We run this and notice that the value of my score is 10 no matter what we enter. This is perplexing. When this happens, a good strategy is to be progressively move the print statement up through the code or to add multiple print statements so you can see a history of how the variables value changes. Clear? You have to put input value as I said 1 2 10 12, and you have to observe what you get. Now we release that my score is 0 when before running the addition, so the problem is not on line 3, right? It must be on the first line, and on closer inspection we realize that we have made a typo and written my score instead of my score, my S score. Problem solve and the potential to waste a lot of time looking in the wrong location for the but has been averted. Clear everybody? Then next is flags. Flags are useful in conjunction with debugging output statement. A flag is a variable that we set to indicate that a certain section of code or event has occurred. Example may be we wish to know if a particular branch of an if statement has been entered or if a particular function has been called. Alternatively, we may wish to know how many times a loop has run. We will create a variable which may be a boolean if we just want to see if some code has been run, or some integer if we want to know how many times a loop has run. Then we will use a debugging output statement to print the variable to help us understand what has happened. Clear? See here. Score is equal to read score from DB database in bracket user ID. Level highest level reach user ID. Bonus flag false. This is a flag. Clear? If score is less than greater than 500 and leave level is less than 10, bonus flag is equals to true. Okay, then score is equal to score plus 100, print bug bonus. What will happen here? Anybody? Here we have to enter user id. User id score must be greater than 500 and level is less than 10. Clear? Committing out sections of code. An important strategy in debugging is divide and conquer, which searching for a bug we want to progressively identify section of code. We are certain the bug is not in to help us narrow down our search. Sometimes there is processing which we can remove and still have the rest of the code function. Consider the following code which read user detail from a database, orders them in a particular way, then print them to the screen. Here users print users is equals to get user from DB. Users sort by employee level, print users. Second and fourth is missing. When we run this code, only the first two users are printed to the screen. The problem could be if in any of the three functions called above, we make an assumption that the second function could be culprit, so we commit it out. If the users are all printed through not in the right order, then we can assume that the bug is probably in the function. Sort by employment level and start looking there. This debugging techniques is only usable when we can commit out code and still have the rest of the code function properly. If it is not possible to do this, then driver or stub might be what you need. Okay, then drivers. A driver is a small piece of code which allow you to run another piece of code in a managed way. This can be useful for testing a function we have written. Let's say we have a function which accepts an array of integers as its parameters and sorts them in descending order. We have just written it and wish to test it as it is essential in the running of the other code we wish to write next. We want to run it in a managed way which will allow us to run the test several times easily as we iron out any bugs we find. Here is an example of what a driver might look like in this scenario. Look at this program. Function storing driver is there. Print test 1 at 54718. Clear? Test 1. In test 1 there is a 54718. Print sort array 54718. Print test 1 38298. 38298 function sort by the array. This is the program. Look at the program first, then we will move further. understand what is there. Picking the right test to run Picking the right test to run is important in an effectiveness of your driver. You want to make sure you think of possible scenarios in which the code might break, but also in which it does not work to help you narrow down what the problem might be. Stubs is the opposite of drivers. Okay, you got the concept of driver. In driver is a piece of small of code which allow you to run another piece of code in a managed way. Now we are going to look to a stub. A stub is the opposite of driver, whereas a driver site above the code you have written and allow you to run it, that is drive it. A stub takes the place of code which has not been written yet. Stubs allow you to test code which relies on functionality which you have not yet implemented. Let's say you have written some code which print the top 10 scores for the game you are developing. The score will be stored in a database, but you have not written the function for reading from the database yet. Instead of calling the function which would read from the database to retrieve the data, we can install call a function which will just return some static data for the purpose of testing if we can render the data properly. This is the function. This is the program. Desk checking. Using the above technique, we think we have narrowed down there the bug is in our code. Now need to work out just what is happening. Desk checking involve manually working through a piece of code and tracking the value of variables as we go. It is particularly effective debugging technique when we have a piece of code that is manipulating data. We perform our desk check as a table with the column headings being the name of the variables. If we had a following code which find the highest number is an array of number. Look at this program. Function get largest numbers. Clear? Largest is equals to 0. I in number. I in number. यहाँ पे int चाहिए int, right? If I is %2 is equals to 0, largest number. Okay, got the program. Notice that the value within the column have been entered with gap where appropriate to show the chronological order of operations. This makes it easier to trace back through the processing if required. Sometimes it's useful to include columns which are not variables but are specific byte of processing. The fourth column above is not a variable but it is processing that we want to ensure work properly, so we have listed in it as something to trace. There are not any specific rule about what we do and don't enter for our columns, but generally the more detail the better. All variables should be listed and a minimum throughput. Picking the right test data is important in maximizing the value of test checking. Sometimes the processing will work under some conditions but not other. In general, you want to make sure you check boundary value and differing scenarios. Example, for the following code, we may decide to desk check with the following set of test data: 2, 4, 6, all even numbers. Last number is largest here. 8, 2, 4, all even numbers. First number is largest here. Clear? 2, 8, 4, all even numbers. Middle number is largest. 2, 4, 6, 8. What if there are multiple of the same numbers? Multiple देखो, 4, 4, 4, 4 into 4, 4 into 2, 8. 8 clear? If there are multiple of the same number, क्या है, किसका मल्टीपल है? 2, 2 टू ज 4, राइट? मल्टीपल है ना? क्लियर. Then 3, 7, 4, 11, only a single even number is there, and so on. ऐसे like this we can take only odd numbers. We can take even and odd numbers in only one even number in an array. All these possibilities are there. When test checking multiple set of input, you can check them in separate table, or to save yourself writing out the titles every time, you can just list them on one table directly under each other. Separate the different tests with a horizontal line. When test checking, it is good to know what the expected output result should be for a given input. Sometimes you can tell just by looking at the data what the result should be. Sometimes you may need to work it out yourself. If you have created IPO tables for the processing as part of understanding the problem, then referring to those can help you define the expected results. Move code into a smaller program. Move code into a smaller program. Another technique to use once you think you know where the bug might be is to play about with a simpler piece of code is another file. Sometimes it is useful to verify different sections of code to help you narrow down where the problem is. Various sections of code may be run independently. Then copying that code to a separate file and testing it by itself can make it easier. You may need to add in some stubs, drivers, and debugging output statements, but it allows you to be certain that errors are not being caused by something somewhere else in the code. For instance, maybe are making a game and the character is not responding.